the Inner Music Podcast. Your voice for a better life. So, for a long time, I thought that strength has to do with our capability to suffer or to face suffering, to be with suffering, to deal with hardships that life sometimes offers us. And it even say that I made my work out of this. Like in Holland, I was a spiritual caregiver, and one of the paradigms in this working field is, to be able to stay with people that are going through a hard time, to not turn away, but to hold space for them where they can refine meaning, refine themselves, redefine themselves, and incorporate the hardship that they are going through into their life. And that was beautiful and profound, and I learned a lot from it. But I can see that I have moved to another space now, and I wanted to talk with you about that because I realize now that suffering in itself can never be of value of its own. I would say that the purpose of life is to truly and authentically and deeply experience the joy and the fulfillment and the lightness and the goodness that life has to offer us. And for a long time, I think I judged this kind of perspective on life to be hedonistic, like, um, wanting to enjoy and get the best out of life was something superficial. And maybe it can be if it doesn't have like an underlying depth. Um, but I must say that I do come back from this idea and perspective on life because I can see that the answer to life is not our capability to deal with suffering, but it is way more into the extent to in which we can allow through joy, pleasure, fulfillment, purpose, and live from that place. Because from this place of overflow and fulfillment, we've got so much to offer to the world. There is an overflow of love, there is an overflow of gifts, of talents, and feeling good, um, which then radiates from your presence. So I think that, like the past couple of years, my life is getting more and more into finding the way to allow myself to feel good, to really have it all, to live this joyful life that I really feel I'm destined to live, and to receive all the good things that life has to offer. And what comes up really clearly the last couple of days, and that's why I felt like, yes, I should make a podcast episode about this, is that in essence, it all comes down to feeling worthy. That despite that all that I've gone through and all that you've gone through, and things that have been told about you or have been told about me, that they are essentially irrelevant, and that it all comes down to the story that you actually tell yourself every day. It's like the story of, is it a story of unworthiness, of essentially eventually only being good enough if you be this or have this or do this or give this. Like, I have had some health challenges the last couple of weeks, so my energy was down a lot, and I had to receive a lot. Like, I had to receive my husband cooking for me, doing all kinds of nice stuff with the girls, um, um, being brought tea, coffee, being allowed to just sleep, having someone else do the household, which is like in when we live our daily life, it's really balanced. Like we both do our part, I would say. But now it was just a couple of weeks, just receive, 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 receive. And there was a moment where I was kind of surprised that it even came up, but I was like, oh gosh, I feel so grateful that I'm still welcome what I'm not doing and giving what I usually give. And which is not necessarily only in a household, but just the presence that I bring and the love that I feel for the family. And, you know, and then I realized, like, wow, this is a chunk of unworthiness that I didn't see before. That apparently, in me giving and in me sharing and in me caring, um, there is, there was, I think it is changing now, a part of me um, thinking that I could receive worthiness out of that. But I believe that we are born worthy. Like we don't have to do anything. We don't have to do shit to be worthy of that love. It's the essence of who we are. We are born in pure love. I think that's why we're born like hearts wide open because we know where we come from and we know who we are. And some people call that like, oh, I'm a child of God. I'm in essence, I'm light. I'm goodness. I'm however I don't mind the words we give to that. And whether or not you even believe in that, I I do think we can all agree that it is about time for many people to rewrite this story about ourselves. That yeah, all the things you learn, maybe growing up, maybe things your parents said or didn't say, or maybe compliments you got when you did something right, and then you thought, okay, doing right is the way to receive love. There's like hundreds and thousands of examples and different experiences, of course, that we all go through in our individual lives. And we can either let this past define our story that we tell ourselves, the bullshit stories, you could even say, that we keep telling ourselves about um, not being good enough, not being worthy, um, which can play out in so many ways. With my clients, it plays out a lot of the time in, yeah, my voice is not good enough, which actually is more like an identity thing, like, oh, I am not good enough. But what happens if you start to if you start to embrace your voice, then the voice is starting to work for you instead of that you need to work really hard for your um, be first need to work really hard to be good enough, and then maybe your voice one day is gonna sound nice. It is the other way around. The more we start to appreciate and encourage, love, um, hold, support our voice, like literally our singing voice, but of course, on a deeper level, our voice as the essence of who we are, um, the more it starts to open up for us, the more it starts to align with who we are. And there is an incredible beauty that awakens them. There is an incredible strength that people never thought was there. There's an incredible height. Like many people think, like, oh, I can't sing high, or I can't sing high in a loud way. But then the more we allow us and the more we trust ourselves, the more we encourage. Like, so it's all this inner story or this inner, you can also call it a mindset or this inner heart actually that you have for yourself. The more you line up with that and the more you allow that to grow, the bigger or stronger or more authentic or more powerful, more embodied, you could say, your voice is, your expression is. And this is like I gave a workshop lately in Malaga, and It was a 1 day workshop, and I really love the comment of someone that did that workshop. He said, "Oh, this is a path, right? It's a path. It's not a skill you learn. It's a path." And indeed, this is how I perceive working with a voice. It is, though of course it is very nice to be able to sing a song joyfully, happily, confidently. And it is a reason that many people come to me because they feel they have a desire to sing. Essentially, there is another stream underneath that desire to sing. It is a desire to for authentic expression. It's a desire to come closer to yourself, to be able to share really who you are with the world. And if you don't really know what that is, to connect or align more with your inner voice, so you know what you have to say, and you find out your embodied message, you could say, which either you can express through singing or speaking. And so a big part of this, like I said, is worthiness. And if you don't feel worthy, you also don't feel worthy of a healthy, beautiful story about yourself. And that whatever you have to say or share, sing, that it matters, that you matter, that your message matters, and that your voice matters. That is so essential, if you ask me. That you are essentially good, that you deserve to be loved, that you only have good intentions, even though sometimes maybe you're clumsy in expressing that. And that this mindset and this connection and growing worthiness is like the basis of which your voice starts to flourish. And the good news is, of course, that you don't have to walk this path alone. Like, there's plenty of help out there. Like, there's hundreds of coaches, of course, that work with this in like hundreds of modalities that can be extremely helpful. Um, and yeah, I hope that what they will do is that they bring you in connection with your inner voice, with your inner knowing. So why that matters is because this inner voice like never left this awareness of your pure worthiness. So when you start to connect more with it, you can call it your inner voice, your inner being, your intuition, your well, give it any name you want, your essence. Um, then you feel that there is a ground in you. While if you keep looking only outside and only in the world, there's always reasons or evidence to find why you're not worthy, or there's always reasons to shake or to feel unbalanced. There's always suffering to see if you want to, and suffering to experience in your personal life, in your private life. And um, so it's beautiful if you start to connect more and more with this infinite source, you could say, of this love, or I think it's also the source of like pure creativity and of wisdom. It's a place where I sometimes feel like music, it's just hanging in the air for us, just for us like to pluck it of a tree. It's fruit that is forever ripe. And if you learn to like tap into that on a daily basis, so you turn into that feeling of worthiness and of, oh, there is stability, there's ground in me, there is a place where I feel stable, where I feel me, where I'm not doubting myself, where I'm not questioning who I am, but just a place where I can rest. Then your desires around authentic expression, about finding your purpose, about living the life that you really long to dream, where you really dreamed of, like where Maybe indeed you are singing on stage, or maybe you are confidently speaking your truth in front of your family members. Maybe where you are finally living your life, where you're putting out your gift through your own business, etc., etc. Then these things can become reality because you find stable ground within yourself, you find alignment, you find purpose, and you find expression in your way of how to express that authentically instead of you feeling like you're copying uh, just another yoga teacher that seems to be successful on YouTube or Facebook. So, and to like make that circle round again is like I'm not here to say like suffering does not exist, but for me, suffering it changes, and it changes in the sense like inside. Like for me, the like true suffering is being out of alignment with who I am, and when I'm out of alignment, I can't make really a lot of sense of the world around me. I can't make sense of war. I can't make sense um, of myself, of the things I do. Oh, why does it matter what I'm posting today or what, I lose a sense of meaning. But when I choose to tune in to this inner voice, to this inner knowing, to this source of worthiness, of well-being, and like dedicate myself to spend time there, like through meditation or listening to something inspiring, um, then I feel like, I'm aligning again, or at least I'm back on the path of what I long to learn, what I long to embody more and more in this life. And then either suffering that I see around me subsides, or I get to peace with it. Because I just get into this, you could say, this frequency of where I know that it all makes sense, even though I may personally not understand it. And that my only task or job, so to say, is to again and again and again align with me so I can give and bring also into the world what I think matters and wants to be lived uh, by me or through me, or however you want to say that. Yeah, so I hope this was helpful for whichever stage in your life you are at the moment. And I hope that this brings you more and more to you, to your voice, to your authenticity, to your path, to your journey, to the beautiful gift that you have to give to the world. If you have any questions or you want to share anything related to this, please, of course, be in touch. I'm happy to hear from you. And I wish you a beautiful rest of your day. Bye. For more information about my work, innermusicmethod.com.